Hello everybody, welcome to Canvas tutorial. This is the crash course for GATE 2021 and it's our lecture number 2 in physical chemistry topic. And in this lecture, we will be discussing about the basic operators in quantum chemistry. If you haven't watched the first lecture of this physical chemistry series, then I will suggest you to watch that first. I have already put the link in the description box. Okay. Now, in my previous class, I discussed about the gamma function and some basic mathematical formula which you need to understand, or rather which you need to remember. Some very elementary 7 to 8 formulas were there which you need to remember in order to solve different numerical problems which we will solve in the upcoming videos. Now in this video we will learn about the quantum mechanical operators. Okay. So first, what we can say that what are operators? Now operators are something you can think that it is something predefined some operations on some function that results in the alteration of the function into another function or a constant entity. Okay, it says that it is something predefined or predestined some operations which is performed over some function that leads to the alteration or the change in the function. This alteration means change. It actually changes the function into another function or a constant quantity. Clear? We can think that suppose our function, it is a function of fx. We are taking something 4x square. Now, upon this function, we are operating d dx operator. It's a differential operator on the function fx. So what we can see that this d dx 4x square, if we operate in this way, now 4 is a constant, now d dx upon x square will form 2x. So the answer will be 8x. So it is basically another function. You can think that it is another function. Now you can write it as f dot x, which is the derivative of this function. Okay. So this is one case. Another case you can think that suppose you are taking another function fy and that fy has something like 2y. Okay. Now if d dy operator is operated over the fy, you will get d dy of 2y. 2 is a constant, so d dy of y, which is basically 1, so 2. So over here you are getting a constant. In both the cases you can think that this d dx is function, is operator. This d dx is operator and this cap sign denotes operator. This symbolizes operator. Clear? Now we will talk about some operators in quantum mechanics. That in quantum mechanics, every observable in classical mechanics has its quantum mechanical operator. Okay. Now what does it actually mean? Every observable in classical mechanics means classical mechanics generally deals with some macromolecules. Okay, and quantum mechanical system, we will actually apply this quantum mechanics in some microsystems like electrons. Okay, electrons, protons, this kind of subatomic particles. We will consider quantum mechanical operations in those cases. But classical mechanics or the Newtonian mechanics is basically applied over some macro objects. Okay, macro objects. And when you consider some macro objects, like you can think that a moving car. Suppose I am talking about a moving car. Now that moving car has some mass and it has some velocity. So the car will have some momentum which is equals to mv. So over here this momentum is a classical mechanical observable. Okay. Now in quantum mechanics you will get a quantum mechanical operator for momentum. So in this way we will discuss several quantum mechanical operators, and that will be nothing but your position operator, or you can think that it will be your momentum operator, as I have discussed, momentum operator, kinetic energy operator. So these all potential observable in classical mechanics will have corresponding quantum mechanical operator. Clear? So this is first point you need to understand. And the second point, which is again an important point, that all quantum mechanical operators are linear operator. Okay, these all are linear operator. Now linear operator, what does it actually mean? Suppose some operator A is operating over a function fx. Okay. Now if this function is multiplied with some constant n and now it is operated over A, then what I can write, that this constant will come out. So I will write n, and then we will operate the operator A over the function fx. So if this kind of operation is valid, then it is a condition for the linear operator. So over here constant is unchanged. Okay, so this is the first condition for the linear operator. And the second condition for the linear operator is, suppose I am taking a function, okay, which is the linear combination of two functions fx and gx, and now I am operating that linear operator over this. So if this kind of operation is taking place, then I can write it that this operator will individually can be operated over fx and gx. So I can write it in this manner, fx plus a gx. Okay. So these two conditions are for your linear operators. Now I am going to explain this with an example. Suppose I am considering the d dx as our operator. Okay. Now d dx is operated over some function x square. So what I can say, it has a value of 2x. Fine. Now if this x square function is multiplied with some constant, suppose 2 is the constant, 2x square is now our new function, where 2 is a constant which is operated over the d dx. Now in this case, when I operate d dx, then what I can say, this 2 is nothing but the constant, so it will come out, and now we will operate d dx over this x square, and we are getting 2 into 2x, that is 4x. So this d dx operator satisfies our first condition for being the linear operator. Now let's see whether it satisfies the second condition also or not. Suppose I am taking another function which is basically x square plus x cube. Okay. Now the operator d dx is operating. Operator d dx is operating over this. This is a overall a new function which is a combination of two functions. One function is x square, another one is x cube. Now you know that it is a formula from the derivative that you can easily separate this one, like d dx can operate over here plus d dx can operate over here. So in this way you can write it, it is 2x plus 3x square. So this is the answer. So in this case what I can say, the second condition of being linear operator is also satisfied by d dx. So you can say that d dx is a linear operator. Now suppose I am taking square root operator. That means if I operate square root over 4, so it is basically root over of 4, which will be 2. Now if I operate square root over a function x square, then it will be root over of x square, which will be basically x. Now if I just multiply this x square with some constant 3, now our new function is 3x square. Now we are operating square root operator over here. So it is not possible to separate this constant outside, and in this way I cannot write square root x square and then I cannot write down this way. In this way this answer is not valid. This operator is not valid operation, because for square root operator, in this way we cannot separate the constant term outside the operator. So the first condition is not followed over here. So square root operator is no longer a linear operator. So square root operator, it is not a linear operator. It's not a linear operator. Clear? Fine. So now we are going to discuss about some quantum mechanical operators which are often used. So the first one is a position operator. Okay. Position operators are nothing but simply denoted x, y or z. Suppose I am considering a function. Generally in quantum mechanics you will encounter this term psi. The quantum mechanical function or the wave function is expressed in the form of psi. So suppose x is operating over a function psi. So it is basically forming this x into psi. So this is nothing but the multiplication with x. If the operator y is operated over the function psi, so it will be basically simply the multiplication of y. So in this way you can think that these are the position operators. Now for momentum, rather you can say that linear momentum operator is expressed in terms of this. Now this is the x component of the linear momentum operator, px. For the 1D problems like your 1D SHO or 1D particle in box, okay, particle in a box. So in this kind of problems you can only apply this kind of px or py, either px or py or pz in this way, depending on which one is your axis of which axis you are considering. Now matter is that when it will be a 3-dimensional one, so then we have to consider 3 coordinate axis, and that is why the total momentum, total linear momentum for a 3D system will look like the summation of px, py and pz. The components, linear momentum component of px, py and pz will be summed up to form a 3D operator for the linear momentum. Clear? This is the expression for that. Now kinetic energy has an expression, you know that it is half mv square, okay, and momentum over here, the linear momentum rather, has an expression of mv. Now for kinetic energy, suppose you are denoting this kinetic energy term as k, so k is equals to half mv square. Now if you multiply m in both numerator and denominator, so that will yield as a m square v square by 2m, and this mv, it is basically the mv whole square, okay, it is basically mv whole square by 2m, that is basically mv is nothing but p, so p square by 2m. Clear? So kinetic energy can be written as p square by 2m. Now px has the expression minus iota h cross d dx. From here you can deduce the expression for kx, it is basically the px square by 2m. On the same concept, this year in June 2020 examination, which basically held on 26 November set, okay, there you will find one question where this operation or this kind of expression you have to use in order to determine the Hamiltonian operator, which I will discuss later. Now this is the y component of the kinetic energy and this is the z component of the kinetic energy. Just put y instead of x in case of the y component and put z instead of x in case of the z component. And now the total kinetic energy operator will look like something this, kx, ky and kz, okay. Well, now we will move on to the potential energy operator, which is basically the Vx, Vy or Vz. This way we can denote. Okay, now we will move on to our Hamiltonian operator. Hamiltonian operator is nothing but the total energy, you can think. It is basically the total energy operator. That means the summation of the kinetic energy and the potential energy. Now in my previous slide I have already deduced the expression for the kinetic energy operator for kx. For x component it is minus h cross square 2m into d2 by dx2. So this will be written over here minus h cross square by 2m d2 dx2 plus Vx. Vx will be the component for the potential energy. Clear? Now H cross is nothing but H by 2 pi. Okay. H cross is nothing but H by 2 pi. And in the similar way, we can just write down the component for Y and component for Z. So up to this is clear or not? So today I am going to stop my lecture in this slide. In the next video, I will discuss about this orbital angular momentum in details, and then we will move on to some raising operator, lowering operator, and after covering that, we will move on to the commutator. Okay. After discussing this, we will move on to the commutator, where this kind of Lx operator, Ly operator, L plus, L minus, these operators, and the spin angular momentum operators like Sx, Sy, these all will be discussed. So in the next video, we will get these topics. Now, if you like my video, please share and subscribe. Thank you. Happy learning.